whatever, I don't know the legal language, must be basically, it's a free-for-all, it's free access, it's open access for any sort of recording and any sort of public dissemination of recordings. That's probably not true, but that's the loose interpretation, I think. So on the one end, it looks like we don't have to do recording. We don't have to allow recording because we're not subject to the Open Public Meeting Act. On the other hand, as a private organization, we are not required to not record. So basically, people don't have an assumption of privacy here. So it's not unreasonable if we do allow recording, but we don't have to allow recording. I propose that we allow the membership to vote on whether or not the membership would like to allow recording, and then as a board develop a policy. This isn't an issue in our bylaws because recording equipment was not something that was really common when our bylaws were written in, back in the last century. But I think, but I think that it's obviously something that people are interested in doing now, and there's a lot of pros and cons, and I don't propose really digging into the pros and cons of that right now, but I would like to propose that we allow the membership to vote on it. We put it to a vote in the general meeting next month.
Is that a motion?
I can't make a motion because I'm the chair. But if someone else would like to make a motion, I think that I think we have the information. And if someone disagrees with whatever the membership and the board comes up with, then they could sue us. I mean, that's fine either way. We're always open. But I think that at least knowing that we have the flexibility of choosing to allow recording or not is important information.
I read those articles. It told you to get legal counsel. Seek legal counsel.
It said
your vote won't matter. I'm going to record.
What's that?
Your vote won't matter. I'm going to record.
Okay.
Get legal counsel.
I think that that's important for the membership to understand, Mark.
Good.
I think that you can make that statement to the membership, and then people can decide how they feel about their privacy. But I would like the members to have the opportunity to vote on this issue. I think it's worth giving people the opportunity to share their opinions and their feelings about participating in our organization and how safe they feel in the environment.
I haven't heard anyone else say they're unsafe, just you.
There are
people that aren't here this evening because of the recording.
But again, I would really like to just, if someone wants to make a motion to have a vote next month, we can have the bigger conversation about that. And I would also ask, respectfully as a member of the community, that you understand that there are people that if that meeting is recorded will not be there to cast their vote. And
if this meeting wasn't recorded tonight, people won't see the emergency services available on our hill.
And we can have the debate about the value of recording. I think that for giving people the chance to have the conversation, we haven't had it.
Mark, I don't think we're making the argument that there is no value to the recording. I think there is some value, and I think there are some negative sides to that. And I think that's the vote that Melissa is proposing that we have.
That people have the membership has a chance to decide how to vote on it.
So Myra's been waiting, Tom.
Yeah, mine.
So I've read through some of the basis. I haven't read through all of it, but I've read through some of the basis of those cases that were sent by that were decided by the Attorney General. The way that privacy is defined, it doesn't really apply where we're at. People don't have privacy in public places, and this is a public place.
So Myra, I'm sorry, it's 9:07. Can we have this conversation next month?
I'm just saying that people keep saying people are entitled to their privacy. They're entitled to their privacy in private places in their homes.
Again,
they're not entitled to privacy in public places.
We can have this conversation, and we should have this conversation, and that's my entire point, is we should have this conversation. The library has policies about recording. It is a public place. You cannot, it is not allowed to record inside the library. It is
At the
not
downtown
allowed.
library.
No, at this branch.
No.
It is not allowed. Tuan made that very clear, that
I
the
talked to him
library's
as well.
policy. So, but I think the big thing right now, to respecting everyone's time, is can we, is there a motion to allow the members to vote and to have this, the agenda planning committee can have the conversation about whether this topic should be on the agenda next month, and the agenda planning committee can decide how much time. I think there's a lot of.
So, there's a comment here.
I think there's nuance that it's our responsibility to present to the membership in terms of expectations around if you're in the audience, will you be filmed? There's, I think, a courtesy to the speakers to let them know ahead of time you will be filmed. There's an optional courtesy to the speakers whether or not they want a review. And I think there's a lot of nuance to this policy that the collective membership needs to vote on, but I think it's a lot more fine-grained than an open and shut, yes recording, no recording. Because I think there's room there where your expectation of being on YouTube is different if you're up at the front of the room versus if you're at the back of the room, whether or not you're asking a question. And I think it's fair to explore those nuances as well as around dissemination and any kind of, if it's an outreach function, should we as the board have control over the North Beacon Hill Council message? I think all that nuance needs to happen before we just do a blanket up and down vote.
I think there's great value in having a conversation about putting the recordings on our website. Many people have brought that up, and it's not to me about control, it's about effective. If you're going to have it, if it's going to be there, have it be disseminated
Is there
effectively.
another comment?
Yeah.
I think we also need to be informed. There's a conflict in interpretation of what the law is, and I think that needs to also be brought to the board so we have a common understanding of that before it even goes to the membership. Because we don't want to misinform the public about what can and cannot be done legally. So we need to be informed so that they can be accurately informed as well. Because I haven't looked at the laws, but I am aware that when there is a public meeting, and my understanding is that all of this are public meetings, and Melissa, what are you saying that they're not? So I would like to get some clarity around that before it goes to the public, so that there isn't misinformation going out. So I would propose that we become better, I need to become better informed, and I want a common understanding before it even goes to the membership.
I would also be interested in knowing, before we reinvent the wheel and do all this research, in terms of the community centers around town, or the councils, around town, maybe somebody's been through this and they have a 10-page printout with all the nuances, and that, but I do feel it takes more time than just shoving it at the general meeting and saying, well, yes or no, because there's a lot to
We
it.
have shoved it at the general meeting. We've been shoving recording at people.
Shoving the decision.
But the decision has been shoved at the decision has been made for people. They haven't we have shoved the decision at people for several months. The decision has been made for people. And it might.
It's so common to have recording these days. Every city council meeting
okay,
we go
I'm-
to and
Right, but the city council meetings are different because they are required. That is part of their, so we are not going to get out of this. Thank you for staying late. Roseanne and Stephen have
Mine is having
comments.
its best.
And Stephen and Roseanne had.
So I'm not in favor of putting this forward for a vote to the community because of expectations. So the expectations of the people in the room. So that if they say, no, I don't recording, or yes, I want recording, they will leave that room with the expectation that something definitive is going to happen. And what I'm hearing here is that even this group is not ready to make that decision. So, and I see it's a dilemma, because I'm seeing what you're saying, yes, there have been many months now where recording has happened, and so it's kind of the default right now. I also feel like this is a tempest in a teapot. So I will not be in favor of putting this forward to a community vote because of managing reasonable expectations of the people in that room.
So
I mean, I think unless we all pass a hat out of our own pockets to pay for counsel, the whole point of getting counsel is so then you're covered by their legal malpractice insurance. So if they led you astray and you get sued, you can sue them. I don't think we're going to get a free opinion from anybody better than what we got from the Attorney General. And I don't think any of us are qualified to make a legal assessment. So it's just kind of, I mean, do we pass the hat? Do we find some lawyer who can give us enough of a judgment or enough of an assessment?
write a small and simple.
Yeah, or do we, I mean, take a leap of faith based on what was said? None of us are lawyers.
Well, and can you help me understand, I'm missing, and forgive me, just help me understand what you're saying.
I think reading up on, all of us individually reading up